Hello and welcome to Further Inside Corleone. My name is Eric Light. I am the artistic director of Corleone Men's Choir here in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And joining me today is a new friend to me, Sofia Soderberg, who is the conductor of Svanholm Singers, a fantastic male choir based in Sweden. Hello, Sofia. It is lovely to have you here.
Hello, Eric. Hello, and thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. I'm so happy to be here with you.
I have I have I have been such a fan of your work in particular and the work of this choir for so long. And again, I'm just always happy when this pandemic gives us a little bit of this time to meet some people that we normally wouldn't do. So again, thank you for this. I'm really excited to gain a little bit of your perspective and share some of your music. So this will be great. I want to ask you how did Svanholm Singers come into being? How did it start? I know you weren't the first conductor when it began. Can you tell us how the group started?
Yes, it started back in 1998. A group of quite young men who had been former students on the high school in Lund, the town where I also come from. They graduated from this music high school and they wanted to continue to sing together. So they asked their former music teacher and also principal teacher of the high school where they had been students before. They asked her if she could help them to start this choir, and they started off very big by going to competitions and
Right.
first competitions in Europe and then one competition in Japan. And it went very well for them. So during 2 years, they did a great success, I think, together with the first conductor. And her name was Eva Olin. But as a girl, she was born Eva Svanholm. So actually, the name of the choir was from her
Oh,
first name
I
or
I
her
would
first
I did
her
not. I
first
was wondering where that
song.
name came from. Yeah, that's fantastic. And so, go ahead.
Yes, I think she wanted to tribute because her father, he had been a great opera singer in Sweden and also abroad. He was, I think, he was also at the Met at some point, and she wanted to tribute him. So she gave the choir a name after her father, and his name was Seth Svanholm. But it was not quite the singers in Swanholm Singers are not at all like Seth Swanholm because he was a great opera Wagner tenor. So it was not the same. But
Not Swedish choral singing. No, no,
no,
not exactly. Yeah. Um, was there a focus for the group as far as the repertoire when they started out? Were they kind of doing all sorts of music, or like the way that you are right now, or was there kind of a focus back then for the choir?
difficult question. I'm not sure that I can ask properly because I was not there then. But
Right.
my feeling is that they sang mainly classical repertoire at that point. Uh, quite yes, and quite focused on the romantic period of
Sure.
choral singing. But it did not went on for so long because 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we were celebrating 20 years birthday or 20 years jubilee of the choir. And this year, I am celebrating 20 years as a conductor of Swan Singers. So it did not take so long time before I entered uh, as a conductor for the
Right.
choir.
And I want to ask you that story. How did you come to be the conductor of this choir?
Uh, yes, there was a tour to Japan, which was quite exotic for us. And actually, the choir has had been in Japan before. I had never been there, and Eva was not at that point. She was not feeling very well, And she was she felt that it was a little bit too. It was yeah. She didn't want to go because she had had
Right.
some problems with her health, and it was a quite a far tour to do with the airplane, and also the choir wanted to climb Fuji and things like that. So she actually could ask me if I could just fill in during the tour. And then one thing came to another, and I continued after that to do some work, and then I became the conductor of the choir.
That's wonderful. So the singers, have they changed much in terms of who the people are and where they're coming from over the years, or has that maintained some similarity or some connection to its roots?
Um, I think it has changed during the years, absolutely, but not very fast. It's like the singers who come, they stay for quite a while. Um, Actually, when we had our jubilee, I was counting how many singers have been in the choir during the years. And we used to be 20 singers in the choir, and all over, I think 90 singers has passed through the choir. So that's quite a lot.
Wow.
But
That is, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's a lot, but most of them stay for quite a while. It has been like, how do you say, not a norm or tradition, but it is quite a young choir, and I think that the singers are quite young, and I think that is because we have been traveling a lot, really, and often if you have a family and kids, it's much more difficult to stick into that kind of what do you call it? To that kind of
That
yeah.
schedule, or
Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes.
No, I understand. I understand completely. Um, I know that the choir does tour a lot. Tell me a little bit about, like, so how often, when it's regular times, not currently, uh, how often does the choir rehearse? How often are how many concert programs are you usually doing a year? How often do you tour? How often do you record? Because it looks like a very rich schedule for the choir that you've been maintaining.
Yes, it's quite a rich schedule. It used to be, as you say, not now, but usually and hopefully again. So we rehearse one evening a week for 3 hours, and then we also rehearse a lot. If we need to rehearse extra, then we always find time for it. For example, if we do recording, we always rehearse much more, and we schedule lots of hours to manage. And then also, of course, I think that one of I don't know exactly how to explain this in English, but I think that if you have an ensemble and if you travel with ensemble, it's like a very, very good thing to get the ensemble to feeling tight together, and also to
Yes.
cooperate in a musical way, because they get to know each other personally, and they start to like each other very much, and it's a little bit of a family feeling, and when this comes, we can also make better music, I think, and also,
I
of course, the
totally
more
agree. Yeah.
hours yes, yes, and the more hours you I mean, the more hours you give in rehearsal time, the better result you have, I think. So I think that my singers has always been very good at rehearsing, and very yes, they have it has been easy to rehearse with them and to schedule them for lots of hours if we need to.
If you have, yeah, that's wonderful. Tell me a little bit about your background, how your journey into becoming a director. And I know that Svanholm is not the only choir that you conduct.
Hmm? Yes, I was born and raised in this town Lund, which is a university town in the southern part of Sweden. And in Sweden, the university cities has quite stronger choir traditions than the other towns. I don't know why, and I don't know if anyone knows exactly why. But we also have big
Yes,
cathedrals.
Uppsala, and yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
we have the university, of course, and then also the big cathedrals here, which also and they also have great choir tradition. So I was raised in this choir town, and I think that choir singing was like something. How do you say in English? You get it from as you when you from very very small age, uh,
right.
without without doing anything. It's just everywhere around you.
It's in your blood. Yes.
Yes, it's a little bit like that. This kind of quiet tradition. So actually, I
Yeah.
started off as an instrumentalist, and I was trained to play the piano and the organ, church organ, and also the cello. So I started my education after graduation from high school. I started university studies at the College of Music in Malmö, and I graduated as a church musician or organist. And after
Oh,
that, I
great.
continued to play the cello, the Baroque cello, in Stockholm. So I had two educations. And in Sweden, if you study organ, if you're an organ scholar, you also have a lot of composition and writing in old style, like in Bach style and in Palestrina style, and also free composition. But you also have a lot of choir conducting, because in Sweden the choir tradition is very strong in the churches. So
Hmm.
that was my background, and sometimes I have a feeling that I did not choose by myself, because when I graduated, then they came to me and said, "Can you help us, because we need someone for the choir?" So I started with smaller choirs, and then bigger, and then Swanholm asked me, and then I have been also working. At one point, I thought, okay, so I need to do. Um, when you are standing in front of two roads and you need to go one or the other direction.
Yeah.
So I had a very great mentor in my life, and she said, maybe you should choose, because now you're doing a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. And then I said to myself, okay, so it will be choirs after this. And I have
Wow.
also been working with the opera in the opera house in Malmö, and also now I'm artistic director of a high school here in Lund, which also has music profile and choir profile, very strong choir profile. So this is very important for me, uh, the singing, and that uh, everyone can connect to the singing, I think, and to the choir music, because
Yes.
everyone has a voice. It's an instrument that is it's free. You're born with it, and you can use it, and you can use it in wonderful ways. And this is one of my yes, one very important in
That's
my life, to spread this feeling of um, uh, the strength by singing.
yes. Well, it's that. It sounds like you're very busy. When we can actually do all of these things. In addition to this, and you sort of mentioned this as well to the conducting, you arrange and compose for Svanholm and other groups as well. Um, Speaking specifically for the writing that you do for the tenor, baritone, bass voices of Svanholm singers, um, are there particular challenges or opportunities when you're writing for that ensemble and those male voices versus maybe you're writing, an instrumental piece or a mixed choir piece, etc. Is there anything particularly special about writing for that other instrument of the male choir?
Well, I think it's a difficult question because when you know uh, your ensemble so well, so it's just like you are writing for not for the instruments but for the specific persons. It's like you know exactly who they are, what they sound like, what their strengths and weaknesses are. So I think that the best thing you can do as a composer for choirs, it is to like to know the choir very well. So I think that's something that I feel very happy about, and I feel um, very much gratitude for that because I think it's so much more difficult when you don't know the choir that should sing it. And for Swan Singers, it's the special thing about the choir is that the ranges, it's for all men's choir, of course. The range of the voices are like more extreme. So writing for mixed choirs, then you are not using the extremes that much, I think, especially not for the tenors, maybe for the second basses, but
Right.
but because you have the altos and also the sopranos, and they are quite in the same range. They can use the same range, so I think that's the biggest difference.
In terms of being then also then the conductor of this choir, are there versus maybe some of the other other choirs that you do, whether it's in the high school or the other mixed choirs that you work with or working with opera people, do you think that there's anything particular or special in working with a male choir, or are there things that you feel like you need to overcome in your work with them? How have you found that experience unique in your life?
It's also a very good question because I don't know if I can answer it. So I think that from the beginning, when I started to work with choirs and bigger groups, of course, I was nervous. I think everyone is from the start. And how can I be? How can they trust me? How can I get the right authority so that they can feel that they will do what I tell them, things like that. And how can I be good enough for them? Because here I don't know if it's good or bad to say some words. I just try to say them because I don't know the nuances of the language. But you have many people in front of you, and they are giving of their time. They're just standing there and they want me to give something to them. And how can I be how can I mean, you feel a lot of like self when you have to how do you say this in English? You have to
maybe like doubt or
yes,
just responsibility toward
yes, doubt over your of yourself. So the strength for me has always been to focus totally on the music and the result. And as long as I focus on the music, I am a musician, and I try to give to them my experiences and my yes. I try to give what I have, what I have to give in terms of music to them, and to lead them through the rehearsal and then through the pieces. So as long as I have focused on that, I think that the other questions, they get out of interest. They are not interesting
Right.
anymore. And of course, I'm a kind of person that I also have a great interest in the persons and the people that I'm working with. But I think as a conductor, you could not get too close uh, because that's another thing. And and what they want from me is they want to sing. They want to come. They want to sing. They don't want to have a little chit chat about that or how do you feel. They want to work. And so I think that is yes, that is my mission, to get the best,
Yeah.
to get them to do their best, always do their best, and sing their best, and to feel after a rehearsal or after a concert that, wow, yes, it was like
Yes.
a big boost of energy. Or
Ab-
also. So
absolutely.
I think that is how I handle the question you asked for.
Hmm.
I think that is the best answer I can give.
It's a wonderful answer. I think many times. So it's really interesting hearing you talk because my choir meets for 3 hours a week. And it's people giving up of their time. It's not a professional choir, but we have professional standards, and the responsibility that I feel standing up there as far as what pieces I program, how I run the rehearsal, am I enriching their time, am I making their lives you know richer through this experience of getting closer to that music. I think sometimes people think that conductors just do what they want to do, but I think when you enter it as a servant of the process of towards the music, towards the art, and trying to make an experience both for your singers and for the audience, that's a very different way of approaching the job. And that really, what you say really resonates with me. It's something I think about quite a bit. I want to also ask you, I think there's other parallels between my choir and yours in that my choir, Corleone, was founded by Diane Loomer, a woman. And when this was done in the 90s, I think a lot of people were like, oh, gee, a woman is conducting a men's choir. I go around and do a lot of educational things with choir conductors, maybe high school directors, and some of the female conductors that I work come to me and they're like, oh, I wish I knew how to work with the male voices better. And I've always been a little perplexed by this, to be honest, because I know how naturally and how amazingly women have been conducting men's groups for years. Could you talk about that dynamic? Is it something that you think about? Is it something that you don't think about? You don't care about? Are there considerations here? Because I do think it will be inspiring for people to see the extraordinary work that you are doing with this group, and how you're doing it through that lens.
Well, first of all, thank you for the compliment. And then the question is again difficult because from the beginning, when I started, I think I was just pushing this question away because if I should go in there and think that I am a woman and they are all
Yep.
men, then it would be something else. It would be something that I needed to, relate to. And instead of that, I think I tried to focus on the music again.
Right.
But I have, of course, it's a thing. I mean, when we went, especially when we have been on tours, I have often been asked, how is this and why do they choose a woman and so on. And one time in Japan, it was like the choir entered the stage and there were applause. And then I came in and then it just was, Like, how is it possible? Like, and it's of
Uh,
course that's kind of it's a bit it's not very nice because I come in as not
oh,
as a woman but as a musician. And my in former times, my answer was always the same. It was like, I'm not here as a woman, I'm here as a musician. And the gender should not be of interest. But
mhm.
I'm not that stupid that I don't understand that it is a thing, and it's a thing also on stage. It looks like something. It communicates something, and I think it can communicate something good because so far in this world, as we have been living it, and also many years before that, I think that we are proceeding to a way of more equalization between the genders, and I think therefore it could be a good thing just to show that this is possible. Um, I think nowadays I'm not I'm so used to it, and I think that they are so used to it, and they don't think of it as anything special anymore. Uh, so but of course, I can also say that it's not only male conductors that uh, finding their wives in the choirs, because I've also married. We are not married, but my husband, since many years, was a former singer of the choir as well. So
Right.
it's not, of course, uh, you you meet your love on work. It's not so strange. And I think it has more with that thing to do than with another thing to do. But I think it's very important when we are talking about these questions that we can discuss it. We need to think of it. We need to be there need to be we need to be transparent to each other about these
Yes.
questions. But the main thing is always the music, and that we are humans. We are humans, and we are singers. Uh, so I think that is the most important thing.
Well, I just think that really resonates with me, and I want to thank you so much for sharing a little bit about yourself, a little bit about the choir, and a little bit about the journey that you're on. I find it so inspiring in so many ways, and it's just absolutely lovely to meet you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Eric. Thank you.